April 29th, 2011. There's a moment from William and Kate's wedding that has never quite left me. A little girl in an ivory dress stood at the altar holding white flowers. 3 years old, barely able to understand where she was. But William had chosen her personally to be part of his big day. That little girl was Eliza, Laura Lopes' daughter, Camilla's granddaughter. Think about what that moment actually meant. William, on the most important day of his life, surrounded by heads of state and global media, made space for a child connected to him only through his father's controversial second marriage. He could have chosen anyone. He chose her. I've always returned to that image because it tells you exactly how far this family has fallen apart since then. Now that same little girl's mother has just been forced out of Kensington Palace by William himself, Camilla's own daughter. There was no announcement, no public explanation, just a decision made behind closed doors that landed like a final verdict. Princess Anne also heard about it, and according to those close to her, she didn't object to a single word, which gives you a hint of everything you need to know right now. Today, I'm finally breaking it all down. Every piece of it. Hit subscribe right now because trust me, this is only the beginning of what's been happening inside that palace. Here is what William just did, and here is why nobody inside that palace saw it coming the way it actually landed. Think about what it takes to remove someone from your life without ever having to face them. William managed it perfectly. One household document updated, one name quietly shifted to the wrong list, and Laura Lopes simply stopped having access to Kensington Palace. There was no confrontation, no awkward conversation or dramatic scenes that could be leaked to the press, just paperwork. That tells you more about William than any public statement ever could. Before you assume this is just a step-family disagreement that got out of hand, you need to understand what Kensington Palace actually represents. This isn't just where William lives. This is the headquarters of the court he's building around himself right now. While Charles is still alive, while William is still technically the Prince of Wales, every decision he makes about who walks through those doors and who doesn't is a decision about what his monarchy is going to look like. These aren't domestic choices. These are decisions about power. And Laura Lopes failed that test completely. Here's what most people don't actually understand about William's inner circle. It's not about who he likes. It's about who has a real reason to be there. There's a very simple question he asks about every single person inside that world. What is your reason for being here? George, Charlotte, Louis, Blood, Catherine? She married the future king and spent 15 years earning every inch of that position. Edward and Sophie? They showed up, did the work, kept their heads down for decades without complaint. Anne? She's practically holding the whole institution together. Every one of them has an answer to that question, a real one. Laura Lopes gets asked the same question, and her answer is simple. My mother married your father. That's the one answer William was never going to accept. Laura is connected only through her mother's marriage without any official role or title. She is having no formal position inside the royal household either, and that connection has never been enough for William. There are no oversights in decisions like this. Every access arrangement inside a royal household is made deliberately. Every name on every list is there because someone decided it should be, which means Laura's removal isn't an administrative update. It's a statement. And here's what strikes me most about the timing. William didn't wait. He's not yet king. Charles is still alive. Camilla is still queen. By every normal royal standard, this would be the moment to hold back, to manage relationships carefully, to avoid making moves that create friction inside an already complicated family. William made the move anyway. People close to the palace have been saying it openly for months now. William isn't just supporting the institution anymore. He's actively steering parts of it. And Camilla, who watches all of this closer than anyone, has reportedly reached her own conclusion about what that means. According to insiders, she believes William has already started treating Charles's reign as little more than a formality. That's an extraordinary thing for a sitting queen to believe about her stepson. It's also, when you look at what he's been doing inside Kensington Palace, extremely difficult to argue with. As one insider put it, the transition from heir to leader is no longer theoretical. It's already happening. Laura Lopes' removal isn't a footnote in that transition. It's one of its clearest expressions. To understand why William made this decision, you have to go back to a conversation that happened between two teenagers who never chose to be in each other's lives. When Charles and Camilla's relationship became impossible to hide from their own children, William and Laura were thrown into an ugly position. Two kids from two broken homes, both hurting, both looking for somewhere to put the blame. According to royal author Katie Nicholl, they found each other. William and Laura used to have terrible fights over who was to blame for their broken homes, Nicholl wrote. William blamed Camilla for destroying his mother. Laura fired back that Charles had ruined her life. Neither of them was entirely wrong. Both of them were carrying pain that had nothing to do with each other and everything to do with the adults who created the situation. That's the foundation this relationship was built on. Screaming matches over whose parent was more to blame for tearing everything apart. Now the official version of events wants you to believe they got over it. Laura attended the royal wedding. Her daughter Eliza was chosen as a bridesmaid. William and Kate stood at Laura's own wedding in 2006. The families appeared at public events together. The image of a functional, reconciled, blended family was carefully maintained. But appearances inside the British royal family are managed, deliberately. What you see at a public event is the version they decided you should see. What happens behind those doors is a completely separate question. And the doors are now telling a different story. The peace agreement between them came with an unwritten rule that nobody stated openly but everyone understood. Laura and Tom were accepted into the orbit of the royal family on the understanding that they would remain in the background. No titles, no official roles, no public claims on royal access or royal resources. Tom Parker Bowles himself said it plainly in an interview. "We're not quite part of the royal family, to be honest. My mother married into it. She's part of it. We're the common children. That was the deal. Stay quiet and grateful and stay out of the way." For a while it worked. What changed wasn't something that happened suddenly. It built up over time. Every time Camilla's family appeared at a royal event. Every time their presence in those spaces was made to seem a little more normal. Every Christmas gathering, every coronation seat, every public photograph. It all added up, and at some point William looked at the direction things were heading and made a strategic calculation. The question wasn't whether he liked Laura personally. The question was whether Camilla's family had a permanent place inside the institution he was preparing to lead. His answer was no. It has always been no. He simply waited until the right moment to make it official. The fights he and Laura had as teenagers never really ended. They just went quiet for long enough that everyone assumed they were over. But they weren't. Understanding one detail clarifies everything about what just happened. A lot of people look at Laura's exclusion and frame it as personal. A family feud, a step-sibling grudge, old wounds that never healed. That framing misses the point entirely. What William is doing isn't personal. It's about the system. Kensington Palace runs on access. Every person who moves through that building with any regularity is either officially or unofficially on a list. Family members, staff, advisors, extended relatives. These lists determine who gets invited to private events, who receives briefings, who sits in which rooms during which conversations, who's considered part of the inner working fabric of the future court. In this world, who gets invited matters more than anything else, and who gets left out says everything. Laura was never officially on any list. What she had was something more unofficial and fragile. Access through her mother, her. Camilla's position gave Laura access to royal life, but that access was fragile. It depended entirely on Camilla's influence. Coronation seats, occasional family events, the Sandringham Christmas invitation Camilla consistently extended even when her children didn't always take it up. Tom Parker Bowles confirmed in December 2025 that neither he nor Laura would be spending Christmas at Sandringham that year. He described it as an every-other-year arrangement, The palace spun it as a normal blended family decision. Royal commentators called it normalizing. They said it made the monarchy appear more relatable. On the surface, that reading isn't entirely wrong. But here's what the normalizing narrative conveniently leaves out. Camilla herself had told her children she would love them to come. The invitation existed, the desire existed. What was missing was the environment in which that invitation could comfortably be accepted. And that environment had been quietly made uncomfortable by decisions coming not from Charles, but from William's household. William doesn't need to make a dramatic announcement. He doesn't need to confront Camilla or issue a formal exclusion. He simply shapes the environment. He decides who is welcomed into the spaces he controls. He determines the feeling inside Kensington Palace, and increasingly inside the broader royal household he's already preparing to lead. And when that feeling makes it clear that Camilla's family doesn't fit comfortably within it, they stop showing up on their own. Laura doesn't fight it. Tom doesn't fight it. They are, as Tom once said, the common children. They understand their position. They were never going to wage a public campaign to force their way into spaces that William has decided belong to a different kind of royal family. Consider what Princess Anne's silence throughout all of this actually communicates. She has watched William shape this environment without saying a single word against it. Anne, who has never once been accused of missing something that matters, who has attended every significant royal occasion for 50 years, who understands the internal politics of that family better than almost anyone alive. Her silence isn't neutral. In royal language, silence from someone with Anne's experience and authority means one thing. She agrees. He isn't acting alone. He never was. Camilla isn't a woman who panics easily. 30 years of surviving the worst press coverage in history will toughen you up. She has faced things that would destroy most people. She has waited out scandals that would have ended anyone else. Patience is her entire method. It's why she's queen today and not just a footnote in a Diana biography. But patience has a limit, and William found it. In early June 2026, the royal family gathered in Gloucestershire for the wedding of Peter Phillips, Anne's son. The ceremony was held at All Saints' Church in Kemble, and the reception at Gatcombe Park, Anne's own estate. By every outward appearance, it was a quiet, intimate family celebration. Behind the scenes, insiders describe an ongoing battle between Camilla and William that the wedding just made obvious. It all started over a tiara. Reports emerged of a big disagreement over whether Harriet Spurling should be permitted to wear a tiara from the royal collection on her wedding day. William had a view on this. Camilla had a different one. The fact that a dispute over wedding jewelry became a major topic of argument in the run-up to the ceremony tells you everything about how much pressure had already been building between these two. In the end, Harriet found a way around what the royals couldn't agree on. She chose a tiara owned by the Pragnell family, the jewelers who made her engagement ring, rather than borrowing from the royal collection. The bride's tact settled what the senior royals could not settle themselves. But here's what Camilla missed while she was fighting William over that tiara. That same week, William quietly finalized the paperwork that removed Laura from Kensington Palace. The tiara was a distraction. The access list was the real war. Camilla did not move on from the tiara dispute, but she had already lost the bigger battle. According to insider briefings, Camilla has accused William of treating King Charles's reign as little more than a formality. That's a remarkable statement. Not because it's surprising. Anyone paying attention to what William has been doing for the past 2 years would understand her frustration, but because she said it. Camilla doesn't make accusations. She absorbs. She manages. She waits. The fact that she is now openly describing William's behavior as going too far tells you how far past patience she has moved. And here's the problem with her position. She's not wrong. William has opposed decisions made by Charles and Camilla. He's reportedly pushed back on their acceptance of an invitation to visit the United States for the 250th anniversary celebrations, citing concerns about the king's health. He has shaped access arrangements inside Kensington Palace without consulting her. He has drawn lines around royal spaces that affect her family directly. He's acting, in every practical sense, like a king who has already taken over. But fighting William on this presents a problem for Camilla. Every argument she makes against him is an argument she has to make through Charles. And Charles is 77 years old. He's fighting cancer. He has less energy for family drama on top of everything else. Insiders say Camilla urged Charles to take William down a peg. Whether Charles acted on that or had the energy to is a different question entirely. What Camilla cannot do is fight William directly. She has no official authority to overrule his household decisions. She has no power that sits above his. And she cannot go public without turning a private power struggle into a palace crisis that damages the monarchy she has spent 20 years trying to be accepted by. So she does what she has always done. She absorbs it. She waits. She watches William build the world he intends to rule, a world in which her daughter has no place, in which her family's access shrinks quietly with each passing decision. And at Anne's estate, on the day of Anne's son's wedding, with Anne standing a few feet away, Camilla understood something with complete clarity. She is surrounded. Consider what Anne was doing on the day the tiara dispute exploded at her son's wedding. She was hosting. Gatcombe Park, her own estate, the property she has managed for nearly 50 years, the land where Peter grew up and where his children now run across the same grounds she once walked with Queen Elizabeth, was the setting for the reception. Every detail of that day ran through Anne: the venue, the arrangements, the guest list, the atmosphere. It was her house, her family, her moment, and somewhere inside that house, William and Camilla were at war over a piece of jewelry. Anne said nothing publicly. She never does. Experts describe her as a very dominant person, not bossy, but someone with a no-nonsense attitude inherited directly from her mother. She doesn't get involved in disputes she considers beneath resolution. She takes everything in, thinks about it, and keeps working. That's her method, and it has served the monarchy for over 50 years. But here's what that silence communicates in this specific situation. Anne wasn't neutral at that wedding. She wasn't just the gracious host staying above the fray. She is a woman who watched Camilla occupy spaces inside this family for 20 years. She was present during Diana. She watched her brother's affair damage the monarchy across a decade. She took all of it in, said nothing, kept working. Royal experts describe Anne as absolutely vital to keeping the monarchy going. They note that what she offers Charles, and increasingly William, is down-to-earth advice that differs from other voices inside the palace. That advice, people familiar with Anne's thinking suggest, has consistently pointed in one direction: keep the inner circle small, keep the boundaries clear, let the institution speak through its bloodline, not through its marriages. That approach does not leave much room for Camilla's family. Experts who have studied William and Anne's relationship describe them as the future of the monarchy together, a natural partnership built on shared values and a shared understanding of what the institution requires to survive. William rides beside her at Trooping the Colour. He travels to Wales alongside her for quiet memorial services that never make the front pages. He seeks her counsel in ways he seeks it from nobody else inside that family. She isn't just his aunt. She's the person who shows him what sustained, unglamorous, unrecognized service looks like in practice, which means when William removes Laura Lopes from the Kensington Palace access arrangements, he's not acting in isolation from Anne's worldview. He's acting in direct agreement with it. None of that required a word from Anne. She didn't instruct him. She didn't need to. 50 years of quiet, consistent, uncompromising service showed him everything. What it looks like to put the institution above comfort, above family sentiment, above the complicated feelings that come with watching a brother's controversial marriage reshape the world you grew up in. William learned from the best, and at Gatcombe Park, while Camilla fumed over a tiara she never got to control, Anne stood in her own garden and watched the world arrange itself exactly the way she always knew it would. Not a smile, not a single unnecessary word. She just kept going. Stepped back from Laura Lopes for a moment. Step back from the tiara dispute and the access arrangements and the Christmas exclusions. Look at the full picture. What you're really watching is a monarchy being rebuilt from the inside, quietly, without big announcements or public drama, one decision at a time, and the person doing the rebuilding isn't yet king. At Trooping the Color 2026, royal watchers noticed something. The balcony portrait told the story without a single word. The Yorks absent, the Sussexes absent, a slimmed-down monarchy standing in the June sun, and William's influence visible in every gap. The same slimmed-down vision that cut Harry and Andrew also left no room for Camilla's children. The balcony wasn't just a photo op. It was a blueprint. This isn't an accident. Sources say these decisions are driven by long-term planning rather than personal grievances. William isn't angry. He's building something. And Laura Lopes' removal from Kensington Palace fits that plan precisely. William and Catherine want a different kind of monarchy. One built on family life, meaningful causes, and a genuine connection with the public, not on showy displays of wealth and power. Inside that vision, every person who occupies royal space must prove why they're there, not through connection to someone who married in, through blood, through duty, through demonstrated commitment to the institution itself. Laura Lopes cannot meet that standard. She was never going to be able to. Charles has reportedly asked William to allow Camilla the freedom to shape her own role once he becomes king, to give her space and authority to continue her life within the royal system without interference. That request exists. Charles made it, and it tells you everything that he felt he needed to make it at all. You don't ask your son to protect your wife unless you already know your son has concerns about what happens to her when you're gone. William heard that request. Whether he intends to honor it in the way Charles hopes is a different question entirely. When William becomes king, the matter of Camilla's title falls entirely to him. The usual title for a former queen is Queen Dowager. It acknowledges her previous status while clearly setting her apart from Catherine, who would become queen. But titles are the least of it. The real question is access, residence, influence. Whether Camilla continues at Clarence House or whether that arrangement shifts will depend on decisions made entirely at William's choice. Everything about Camilla's life after Charles depends on William, and we've already seen exactly how he deals with people he doesn't think belong. He removes them quietly, permanently, and the decision regarding Laura Lopes tells you how William will handle Camilla herself when the time comes. He isn't going to make a dramatic move. He isn't going to strip her of anything publicly or create a showdown that damages the institution he has spent his entire life preparing to lead. He's going to do what he always does: shape the environment, adjust the access, make it clear through 1,000 small decisions who gets invited, who gets welcomed, who gets the door held open, and who finds it already closed exactly where the boundaries of his monarchy lie. Camilla will have her title. She will have Clarence House, probably. She will have her charities and her public appearances and the proper ceremonies of a queen dowager who served her time. What she will not have is the thing that actually mattered: the private estates, the Christmas mornings at Sandringham, the easy assumed access to the spaces where this family actually lives when the cameras go away. Those spaces will belong to William, and standing beside him through all of it, steady, clear, with 50 years of experience that no marriage could ever give, will be Anne. One royal historian put it plainly: Camilla has always been a little afraid of William, not of what he might say, of what he might decide. Because Camilla understands power better than almost anyone in that palace, and she has always understood that William's power, patient, cold, carefully planned, is the one kind she has no answer for. Laura Lopes learned that first. She will not be the last. The balcony at Trooping the Color told you who William's monarchy belongs to. The access lists at Kensington Palace told you who it doesn't. And Anne, standing at Gatcombe Park while history arranged itself around her, told you everything about who built the blueprint William is now executing. That little girl in the ivory dress is 14 now. The man who chose her to hold flowers at his wedding has quietly decided she no longer belongs in his world. Diana's son is now writing the next chapter, and he is writing a very different story.